Hi everyone, day 8 of our restorative yoga challenge. I hope it's going well and just doing the final touches of the video for pose number 2. So how to set up and get ready for pose number 2, which we'll be doing from day 11 to day 20. So here are the instructions and the play-by-play of how to do that. Okay, so let's go over what we're going to need to do to set up for pose number 2. So pose number 2 is the pose we're going to be doing from day 11 to day 20. Okay, so what we'll need is yoga bolster. You're going to need at least 1 or 2 blankets, so 1 or 2 and maybe 1 to cover yourself to stay warm, so that's really important. And then at least 2 cushions. Have 2 cushions close by, maybe even 4 cushions, and that will depend on what's happening in your shoulder area, and we'll go over that. You'll also need your yoga belt and possibly 1 block. Okay, so let's set up. So you're going to sit down on the floor right at the end of the bolster. And so you're up against the shorter end of the bolster, and how close you are depends on how you're feeling in your lower back and along your spine. So if you have a lot of lower back tension and tension along the spine, what you may need to do is move yourself a little bit further away, say 2 or 3 inches or more away from the bolster. And if your back's feeling okay, you can come in a little bit closer, say a half an inch to an inch away. And then from there, you're going to grab hold of your belt, and then you can already have a loop in it, and then that'll come through and it's going to go around your mid-thigh area. But before you fasten the belt, what you want to do is make sure that the body is set up in its ideal structural alignment. You lift each thigh and inner rotate it towards your center. So lifting, turning in toward the center, and maybe as you do that, you'll feel the sit bones more deeply connect to the floor. Okay, and then you'll notice that your toes are then pointing straight up toward the ceiling, and that actually even helps open up a little extra space in the lower back area. And then from there, you can fasten the belt, making sure that it's snug but not uncomfortably so. Okay, so once you've done that, you can slide your hands back, lift yourself up a little away from the floor, tuck your tail, lift the lower belly, lower yourself down, and you can start with 1 blanket underneath your head to see how that feels. Okay, so you may need to tuck again once you've lowered down to take any overarching out of your back. So the positioning of your head is really important, particularly if you have tension along the spine. So what you want to do is have as much natural alignment through the back of the neck as possible. So you don't want to have your chin reaching toward the ceiling where it's shortening the back of your neck. And you don't want your chin squishing in toward your chest so that you're squeezing the throat area and making it too long in the back of the neck. So you want to find the right height underneath your head so that you have this nice downward plane. So if you're not sure by feeling it, what you can do is take a selfie picture and see if your alignment is correct, or you can even ask a friend to have a look and see if your alignment is okay. And so you may need to have 1 blanket under your head or 2, or if that doesn't feel right, what you then could do is lift up the end of the bolster underneath your head and tuck a block underneath. That'll raise the bolster up a little bit higher, and maybe that's a better adjustment for your body. Okay, so those are the options for that. And then your arms will come out to the sides, and then you'll see how it feels in the shoulder area. So the body's elevated a little bit away from the floor, and you want to be able to release the full weight of your arms into the floor, opening up the space through the front of the shoulders and releasing tension in the shoulders. But if you've had any shoulder tension or shoulder injuries, you may need a little bit of help, a little bit of support there so that you can feel into that releasing. So what you can do then is bring these cushions in, which will act kind of like armrests. And then they'll come in, and then you'll bring your arms back into position, right? You want to make sure that the arms are turned with the palms facing up to encourage that opening through the front of the body. And then notice how it feels and see if you can fully relax through the shoulders and arms with the cushions in place for armrests. Okay, so this is optional. So if it feels perfectly fine to be doing the pose without them, then there's no need to use the pillows. So the pillows are just there in case you need some extra support for the arms. So then you'll just explore. You may need to lift again, and you may even need to push the butt flesh down towards your heels to open up any extra space in the lower back. So making sure that that's comfortable. And then you can take a few breaths in to notice how it feels. And I really encourage that you try different areas. So try bringing more height under the head, less height under the head, finding that ideal positioning for the head and the shoulders and arms. Okay, and then once you've played around with that a little bit, trying the different ways so that you're ready when the video comes out on day 11 to guide you through the practice. Okay, so to come out of the pose, you can just slide your heels back up, engaging the lower abdominals a little bit, and then placing your feet flat on the floor, taking a breath there. And then from there, you can slowly roll yourself onto your right side or your more comfortable side. You can bring your head to rest on your upper arm. Take a few breaths lying on your side and see how it feels along your spine. You can close your eyes and just tune in. See how it feels if you could have stayed there longer, if it feels like it's a relief to have come out of the pose. And then from there, you'll push through your palm and inhale to come up and out of the pose. So there's your setup for pose number 2 of our 30-day challenge. So this pose, remember, you're doing it from day 11 to day 20. And this is a heart opening pose. It's called a heart opening pose. And so what it does is it opens up all this whole front of the body here. If you stop to consider that everything that we do in our day-to-day lives is rounding forward over something, right? Whether we're hugging a loved one or cooking a meal or driving our cars or working on the computer, everything has this rounding forward, head forward position. So it's really good for the body to bring this opening back up again through the front of the body, getting the head back into a better place and breathing into those places. So this is a very common area of tension, so along the spine. So we want to sort of tune in to see what's happening there. And you may feel like your whole body is gripping up, right? So that's why it's important to try the pose with in different ways, with different propping underneath the head. And then feel free to contact me if you have any questions, if you can't feel yourself beginning to relax in the pose. And keeping in mind that if we have tension or if we've had injury anywhere in the body, the first thing that the body will do when it's unfamiliar with something is come into grip and hold. And so that's what we want to explore in this restorative pose, is softening in, beginning to relax the tension and get the energy from the breath back into those places that we've been closing down. So very therapeutic, nurturing work that we do in this pose. Also, if you think about the fact that whenever we've been hurt in some way, there's been this sense of needing to close down through the front of the body, so closing down around the heart area. So I have had some people observe that, you know, they felt you know, some sadness, or they've actually even cried during this kind of posture, this opening heart kind of pose, and that's perfectly natural and perfectly fine. And I actually highly recommend that you explore whatever happens to come up in this work, and it's all for the greater good. It's all about reconnecting more deeply with yourself. And so I look forward to going through to the next part of our yoga challenge, and so feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and please continue to share your comments and your experiences with this challenge with me on the group page. So enjoy, everyone, and see you soon. Namaste.